Well, you guys were just talking draft lottery, so I got a couple for that one. The Chicago Blackhawks will make a trade for not a top 6 forward, a top line forward before the end of the offseason. Frank, you buying or selling?
Selling. I don't think they're giving up any future assets to do that. So if they're going to acquire a top line forward, which I'm not entirely certain exists on the free agent market, that would be their path. Unless what they could do is, let me throw a hypothetical at you. There's a team out there that is trying to get rid of a player, salary cap reasons. I've been talking about the Canucks and Connor Garland. I don't know that he's authentically a top line player on any team, but at $5 million, you get paid to take him, and you now have another support piece for Connor Bedard. Connor and Connor, we're in business.
Yeah. I will sell on it being a top line player, but if it's a complimentary top 6 forward, lock it in. I think that's what they'll go after.
Next season, they have 8 forwards under contract right now. Only 3 of them make more than $1 million, and their highest paid forward is Tyler Johnson. Frank,
who's on his absolute last leg, by the way.
Yeah, he might not have a leg left. But Frank, you mentioned the Canucks. I mean, what about a guy like Brock Besser in Chicago? Just get a guy who can score next to Bedard and kind of keep up with him a little bit. I think that would be a decent fit.
Stylistically, I'm not convinced that is a good fit, just because Besser, he should, by nature of his game, it was weird the last couple of years he's had more assists than goals, but he should be a shooter. And Bedard, we know, is a shooter. He's got the best release. Might even have a better release than Austin Matthews. I don't know if it's a stylistic fit, but I get exactly what you're saying. Then that's the same vein that I'm thinking in. But I can tell you from the calls that the Canucks have made, they're way more interested in moving Garland.
All right.
Brock Besser, yeah, it's been odd. He's been out there for quite some time, and he just needs a reset, I think. That's all. And it might be just in Vancouver. He just needs a mental reset.
Definitely the most dramatic part of the NHL draft this year was what we already saw with Connor Bedard. But I would say on draft day, the thing people will be watching for the most is, where does Matvei Michkov go? I'm going to say he falls outside of the top 5. Jason, are you buying or selling on that?
Well, I'm going to sell, because the San Jose Sharks would be absolutely foolish not to take him. This prospect sets up as one of the best opportunities for a franchise if they don't have the blinders on. Most NHL teams can't help themselves. They want to rush these kids to the NHL. We've seen it time and time again. 18, 19-year-old players come to the NHL. They're terrible. They lose all their confidence, and some of them never get it back for many, many years. Michkov's going to stay in the KHL for 3 more seasons. You can come out there. He's going to be 21. Leon Draisaitl, a Hart Trophy winner, wasn't good and ready for the NHL until he was 20. And he played in North America for a few years. So to me, you'd be foolish. None of these, San Jose's not going to be good right away. This, to me, would be an ideal pick for an organization like San Jose that needs a few years to still try to get rid of bad contracts and overpaid guys. So I'm going to say I can't see teams letting this guy fall. No, it'd be foolish to me.
Frank?
I'm going to sell. I think I really struggle with this, because I could see him making a lot of sense in Montreal too. The timeline is a little bit out of whack, because I think they're going to be better before then. But could you imagine a team that's kind of building to that point and then plops him in 2026 or 7, whenever that is? It makes a lot of sense. And I know that Ken Hughes and Jeff Gordon have had the long view in mind, but there's also a couple Boston kids that are in the mix, and they have a heavy Boston slant. So that part kind of throws me off. I don't think it'll be Arizona. I really wonder about the Washington Capitals at 8, the Russian connection. If anyone can help Matvei Michkov get out of a contract or get out of any sort of potential issues, isn't it Alex Ovechkin?
It's definitely Ovi.
Yeah.
He's got Putin on speed dial. It can happen.
Yeah. What about even Columbus, man? Columbus has always looked for a game breaker. Now they went out inside Gaudreau. I understand it, and Laine, but I wouldn't put it past them either. And like the biggest thing
I don't see it.
And I've told that Columbus has at least had a few scouts that have seen him. Now, none of their big guys, as Craig Button told us last week. But to me, but I don't even know if you have to see the guy that much. Like every scout who had seen him before, they rave about the guy. So I think if he didn't have a contract, Frank, I think people would strongly talk about him going number 2.
I think Jarmo Kekalainen's job's on the line. I don't think he can wait 4 years.
Okay, that's fair.
Get a guy in there. I just don't. So that's part of the self-preservation aspect of this conversation is, do you have a GM that has balls big enough to say, I might not even see this player play on our team. I might not be in this job. It's a huge bet to make. It really is. And you could look like an absolute genius.
Yeah. Like I just think I know Stephen Ellis did his mock draft up at dailyfaceoff.com, his first one of the year, and he had him going 6. He had him falling outside of the top 5. But I agree with you in the sense that like even some of these teams, you mentioned Montreal, Frank, but like San Jose, especially, Greg's, you're not going to be good for the next few years.
Oh.
Why would you want to waste a top prospect and a guy who could be an impact player? Why would you want to waste his ELC? This is a blessing in disguise, I think.
Like, look at Montreal. They rushed Kotkaniemi. Stupid. Right? Then even last year, right? Slavkovsky, he wasn't ready. What the hell were they doing with him? So this will soundproof them from themselves. That's why it's a safe pick.
Yeah, I love
it's the safe, risky pick. I love how we it's amazing. Like,
I don't think it's that risky, personally.
But what if we build him up and you wait all this time and he's no good? Like, there's always the possibility that exists. We had Nail Yakupov drafted number 1. Like, let me remind everyone.
Yeah, that's one guy, sure. But there's lots of other picks that have gone.
But they had the pick of the litter, and that's who they selected.
Yeah. Oh no, it was a bad pick. Don't get me wrong. I understand that.
Let's not pretend like it's a full-fledged 100% thing, because it's not.
Well, but none of the guys are. Carlson's not a full-fledged thing.
Connor Bedard is a.
Yeah, but he's not. We're not talking about him. He's not going. He's already going number 1.
Yeah, but I don't know that I'm willing to make that bet.
Yeah,
it's an interesting one. I got a buy or sell question on the other thing you guys hit on today, and that's the Philadelphia Flyers. New era in Philly. I'm going to say they are out of the playoffs for at least 3 more seasons. You buying or selling, Frank?
Buying, and I'm going to say it's longer than that.
Oh, yikes. See, and I even had 2 written down. Then I was like, no, I need to get more aggressive to get these guys to split up on an answer finally.
But they haven't even begun the teardown yet.
Yeah. 3 more.
They don't have anything in their system coming.
Ugly.
Cutter Gauthier, I mean, he's it. Like, that's the piece. But I'm saying outside of him, they're not checking multiple positional boxes. They don't have depth piled up. And even the guys that they have currently are not getting it done. So what's the path for them to get to the playoffs in the next 3 years? I just don't see one.
Well, you guys know my view on it. I've looked into it lots. 8 years for a lot of times for a rebuild. I know fans don't want to hear it. Well, it's been 3 years of no playoffs for Philly. It's going to be at least 4 more.
Ugly. Well, that's a wrap on this week's edition of Fill in the Blank. Thanks, guys.